Far and away, the number one comment and question that I've been receiving as part of this series is some version of why don't Americans use butter, or really how do Americans use butter? Other than answer everyone individually, I thought it'd be easiest just to make one video to speak on this hot topic. Of course, we do have butter and we do use butter commonly. In fact, I even happen to have some in my refrigerator. So it is very common here. I think the main distinction is we in the US, for the most part, really don't use butter as a room temperature spread, with a few exceptions. So for us, if we're using butter as a spread, it is almost always in the morning at breakfast with the goal of melting the butter onto something that's incredibly hot. So this would be, bagels, toast, waffles, pancakes, what we would call biscuits. That's very normal to spread some butter to melt it on in the morning for something you're having at breakfast. Aside from that, though, we really don't use it as a spread. I'm trying to think of exceptions. One notable exception would be just on bread. So if you were to go, say, to dinner at an American restaurant, it would be very normal for them to bring you out a bowl of sliced bread with butter that you would spread onto it before you had your meal. That's normal. But otherwise, of course, we would add butter to certain dishes, potatoes and vegetables and things, but we really don't use it as a spread. When it comes to sandwiches, to put butter on a sandwich here is virtually unheard of. I would go so far as to say if you were to go into a sandwich shop in the US or a deli, and you were to ask for butter on your sandwich, I'm sure they would make every effort to accommodate you, but I would not be surprised if they just earnestly said to you, we don't have that, we can't do that, we don't have just butter to spread onto your sandwich. I'm not even sure they would know how to charge you for that. Exceptions here would be, unless you're having something like a toasted or a grilled sandwich, again, something that's really hot where maybe they would melt butter into the bread. Also say, if you here in the US were go to someone's home and they were to serve you sandwiches with butter spread onto them, it wouldn't necessarily be a scandal, but it would be unusual enough that people would comment on it. Similarly, if you were to have like a dinner party or a cocktail party and you were to serve, hors d'oeuvres or appetizers, you wouldn't have butter spread on crackers or butter spread on bread. You would have maybe cheese and crackers or some other type of spread, but we really wouldn't serve butter. I'm sure some people would have butter on crackers just at home by themselves maybe, but it's not something that you would typically serve. The question then is, what do we spread on our sandwiches if we don't use butter? So we just use some other type of spread. So it would be mustard and mayonnaise, I think would be the most common, or it'd be some other type of sauce. So like a hot sauce, spicy sauce, barbecue sauce, what we would call cream cheese, or you might put like a relish or pesto or something like that, but yeah, never butter, never butter. Sorry. The other big distinction I'm getting from the comments is that I think in the US, we view butter as much more of an optional seasoning, somewhat more akin to salt and pepper, rather than something that is required and mandatory for a particular dish. So it's very normal here, even things that we would traditionally serve with butter, for someone to say, oh, I don't want any butter, I'm not gonna add any butter to mine. It's an optional add-on. It's not something that if you leave off of a dish, it becomes this big scandal. Hopefully that helps, and thanks for the comments.